Hi, this is lesson number 9. What is the structure of a proportional relationship equation? We're actually going to use the equation this time to go ahead and solve some things. So once you have written down this essential question that I just read, we're going to go on to example 1. Jackson and his grandfather constructed a model for a birdhouse. Many of their neighbors offered to buy the birdhouses. Jackson decided that building birdhouses could help him earn money for his summer camp, but he is not sure how long it will take him to finish all the requests for the birdhouses. So this is pretty common. People want to know, okay, how long is it going to take me to do something? Well, what he does know is that he can build 7 birdhouses in 5 hours. Right off the bat, I'm thinking, wow, those numbers don't really work nicely. This is going to be kind of tricky to figure out. So write an equation that will allow him to calculate the time it will take him to build any given number of birdhouses, assuming he works at a constant rate. Okay, so we know it's a constant rate if he's making 7 birdhouses in 5 hours. Now, first we need to figure out how long it will take him to build one birdhouse. When it says any number of birdhouses, we kind of think, okay, so if I know one birdhouse, I can figure out lots of birdhouses. Okay, so I need to do the time divided by the houses. Or is it houses divided by time? Well, if I divide by houses, that will give me one house. If I divide by time, that will tell me how many I can make in 1 hour. Now, both of those are actually unit rates. So remember, whichever one you divide by, that tells you how much per one. So how much time for one house or how many houses in 1 hour. It says right here the number of birdhouses, so we want to go with the first one. We want to do time divided by the houses, and that's actually going to look more like a fraction. So let's make it 5 over 7, because if you're like me, 5/7 means a little more than if I divide it, it's 0.7142, it goes on and on. That doesn't really make sense. But if I think of 5/7 of an hour per birdhouse, okay, I would have to do a little work to convert that into, minutes, but think about it, 5/7 of an hour. That's more than half, less than 1, right? 5 out of 7 is clearly more than half, and it's clearly less than 1 whole. So somewhere between half an hour and an hour. So, 45 minutes would be a good estimate for that. Okay, how many birdhouses can he build in 40 hours? Well, we know that we need to use this equation, y equals kx. Always, always, always start with that. Y equals kx. Now we know we can use 5/7. So y equals 5/7 x. Remember that x is the number of birdhouses. Let's go ahead and label that. That's the number of birdhouses. And then we know that the hours has got to be our y, number of hours. So, because remember, it's 5/7 of an hour per birdhouse. So it's 5/7 times the number of birdhouses. That will tell me how long it will take me. So the number of birdhouses determines how long it takes me. Okay, let's go ahead and solve it. I know that the hours 40 is going to go here because we said the y is the number of hours. So 5/7 times a number gives me 40. Now, you're used to using whole numbers, but we can still divide. It's still 40 divided by 5/7 will give me x. So if you need a quick refresher, when I do 40 divided by 5/7, it's the same as multiplying 7/5. Okay, that's called multiplying by the reciprocal, if you remember that from elementary school. So 40 divided by 5/7 is the same as 40 times 7/5. Now, if you multiply that, you get 40 times 7 over 5. So 40 times 7, divide that by 5, which is 280 divided by 5. And I know that I can make 56 birdhouses. 56 birdhouses in 40 hours. And that sounds about right because I know that I made 7 birdhouses in 5 hours. You can also make a proportion. This is an easier way. It doesn't always work evenly. But if I know that 5 hours equals 7 birdhouses, I'm just going to abbreviate it, then 40 hours would be 8 times that because 5 to 40 is times 8. So there's another quick way, but it doesn't always work nicely like that. It doesn't always work nicely, and we proved it using the equation. So y equals 5/7 x. Okay, what if they ask us how long will it take to build 35 birdhouses? So what if he gets an order or he gets lots of orders and he has to make 35 birdhouses? Well then, we can actually use that same equation. And this time we're going to substitute the 35 in. Where? Because it's 35 birdhouses, and that's going to be our x. Okay, so we have y equals 5/7 x, but instead of x, we can say 35. I'm so sorry. Oh, no, that's right. That's right. Sorry. I just wanted to make sure here that I did. I'm sorry. That just took a second. Okay. So, right, because y is the number of hours and x is the number of birdhouses. I didn't want to keep going until I made sure that what I was saying was matching what I was writing. Sorry about that. Okay, now, look, we don't have to do the flip and multiply. It's already multiplied. So 5/7 times 35. Okay, so now we can do 35 times 5 and then divide that by 7. So 175 divided by 7. Okay, and did you get that we can make 25 birdhouses? 25 birdhouses. Again, that sounds, or I'm sorry, my goodness, I might have to edit some of this. I don't want to confuse you guys. That was the hour. Sorry, it said how long will it take? How long will it take? Okay, well, I goofed up, but hopefully you were paying attention here. So it says how long will it take? That's why we plugged in 35 for the birdhouses, and that will take us 25 hours. Now it does make sense because in our original equation, 5 hours built 7 birdhouses. So 25 hours builds 35 birdhouses. Okay, so this is just proving that the equation works. Again, that could have worked out nicely had we made a proportion, but it won't always work out nicely. And we prove here that this constant of proportionality k, we got that to be 5/7, that will work. Okay, you go ahead and figure out how long it will take to build 71 birdhouses. Pause it and try it by yourself. Make sure you plug 71 in for the birdhouses. You have it written right here. See where the x is? Make sure you plug it in correctly and see if you get the right number. Okay, now you can unpause it only if you're ready. I'm going to solve this off to the side here. Okay, we've got our original constant of proportionality, 5/7 x. And I know that I'm trying to make 71 birdhouses. So 5/7 times 71. And if I multiply that, it's not going to work out nicely. It's going to be a decimal, about 50.7 hours. 50.7 hours. Okay, if you're feeling adventurous, you can make 7/10 equal to a number out of 60 because we could figure out how many minutes that is. 0.7 doesn't really equate correctly when we talk about minutes and hours. So if you want to figure out 7/10 in minutes, if you solve this, you can pause it, and if you solve it, you should get 42. 42. So another way to think of this is 50 hours and 42 minutes. That's a long time to make 71 birdhouses. That sounds like Jackson's going to have a full-time job now. Okay, we're going to move on to example 2, the produce stand. This one you probably have seen something like this before. If you've ever been in the grocery store, you can see where this says like, you know, half a dozen ears of corn or maybe even a dozen. But we can see here that there's prices. At Al's produce stand, we have 6 ears of corn for $1.50. And at Barbara's produce stand, we have 13 ears of corn for $3.12. Okay, we're going to try to figure out you know, how much each one costs per ear of corn. Well, I'm pretty sure that we know that the ears of corn determines the cost. You don't go up to the cash register and say, here's $50, now how much corn can I get? You buy the corn and then they tell you the price from there. It doesn't work the other way around. So go ahead and divide 150 by 6, and that should give you the constant of proportionality or the unit rate. And I'll label that down here while you divide. You probably don't need to pause it if you have your calculator. So y over x equals constant of proportionality, which is also known as the unit rate. Okay, for Al's produce stand, the one that they give us is $1.50 for y and 6 for x. Just because $1.50 is smaller than 6 doesn't mean that we can't do it. You still have to divide the price by the ears of corn, because each ear of corn is going to be 25 cents. Very good. 25 cents per ear of corn. Okay, pause the video, fill in the rest of Al's produce stand. Pause it. Don't just wait for me to do this. You try this now. So do 14 times 25 cents. Okay, and then 21 times 25 cents. But then here you're going to have to do it backwards. So go ahead, pause it, figure out the cost of each of these, and then how many ears you can get for $50. Okay, now you can unpause it, and you should have gotten that 14 times 25 cents per ear of corn is $3.50, and then I can get 21 ears of corn for $5.25. Now, to get the $50 one, it's 50 divided by the ears gives me 25 cents. So you actually have to multiply those two numbers, and you will get a lot of ears of corn, 200. Okay, I hope that you're getting the hang of this. Let's try Barbara's now. Let's try Barbara's. Her ears of corn, we know that 13 costs $3.12. So again, do y divided by x and see what you get there. It should be $3.12 divided by 13. Okay, what did you get? Which one is the better deal? Is it Al or Barbara? It should be Barbara because it's cheaper, just by a tiny bit, but it's still cheaper. Okay, now pause it and go ahead and fill in 14, 21, and then how many ears of corn can you get for $49.92? If hers is a better deal, you should get lower prices for these two, and you should get more corn for this price. All right, unpause it when you're ready. Did you get 336 and 504? And then this one should be 208, 208. Okay, let's use the constant of proportionality to make an equation, and then we are actually going to be done with this video very soon. So we know that y equals kx, y equals kx. All right, and then we know that the constant of proportionality is 25 cents for this one, and 24 cents for this one. Okay, the only other thing that I want you to think about is which one is the x and which one is the y. The ears of corn is the x and the total cost is the y. So you could also write it like this. The total cost equals 24 cents per ear. I know the C might be confusing because of corn, but E is for ears of corn. So the total cost in Al's is 25 cents times the ears of corn. Okay, this is how you're going to see it most of the time. So make sure that you're getting used to this y equals kx, where k is the constant of proportionality. Okay, and that is lesson 9. Thank you.